Now we're just strangers again. Ain't even my friend. Not how I want it to end. Can we just pretend?
The entrance to the Cavern of Echoes loomed before them. A massive moor of jagged rock glowing faintly with blue bioluminescence. Kamari glanced at Malik, whose determined gaze remained fixed on the swirling waters ahead. The tension between them had been palpable since their near failure during their last encounter with the beast. "This place doesn't look inviting," Kamari muttered, running his hand through his soaked curls. "But I guess we don't have much choice." "No, we don't," Malik said curtly, his tone sharp. He didn't bother looking at Kamari as he stepped forward, his golden-trimmed attire shimmering faintly in the eerie light. Kamari sighed and followed, his own bioluminescent attire pulsing gently with his unease. The air, or what passed for air in this underwater city, seemed to grow colder as they descended into the cavern. Inside, the walls of the cave were lined with glowing coral that whispered unintelligible words. At first, the voices were faint, like the distant murmur of a crowd. But as they moved deeper, the whispers grew louder and clearer. "Do you hear that?" Kamari asked, his voice hushed. Malik nodded. "Yeah, stay alert. This place feels alive." The cavern twisted and turned, forming a maze that seemed to shift as they moved. The whispers soon became distinct voices, each one calling out to Kamari and Malik with accusations and fears. "Why didn't you stop him?" a voice hissed, echoing in Kamari's ears. He froze as a figure emerged from the shadows, a perfect replica of Malik, his eyes filled with anger. "You could have saved us, Kamari, but you didn't." Kamari staggered back, shaking his head. "No, that's not real." Meanwhile, Malik faced his own illusion. A version of Kamari stood before him, tears streaming down his face. "You were supposed to protect me," the illusion said. "You promised we'd face everything together, but you left me when I needed you most." Malik clenched his fists. "You're not him," he growled, his voice shaking. "You're just another trick." But the illusions didn't waver. Instead, they stepped closer, their voices growing louder and more accusatory. Kamari and Malik struggled to push past the visions, but the cavern seemed to feed on their doubts and fears, amplifying them until they felt suffocated. "We can't let this place win," Kamari said, his voice strained. He reached for Malik, who was visibly shaken. "We have to focus. Together." Malik hesitated before nodding. "All right, let's end this." Pooling their magic, Kamari and Malik unleashed bursts of sound and light, shattering the illusions. The cavern shook violently, and the voices dissolved into silence. In the center of the chamber, a pedestal rose from the ground, holding a glowing shard of the binding pearl. Malik stepped forward, his hand trembling as he reached for the shard. As his fingers brushed the surface, it pulsed with golden light and shot into his chest, sending a wave of energy through his body. Kamari stumbled back, shielding his eyes from the blinding glow. When he looked up, Malik stood there, his body radiating power. I can feel it," Malik said, his voice reverent. He raised his hand, and the water around them obeyed his command, swirling into intricate patterns. Kamari forced a smile, but his chest tightened. "Looks like the shard chose you." Malik turned to him, his expression unreadable. "This isn't about me, Kamari. It's about us, and the city." "Sure," Kamari said, his voice tinged with bitterness. "Us." The tension simmered as they left the cavern, the shard's power sparking a subtle shift in their dynamic. The waters outside the cavern were eerily still. Kamari's unease grew with each step, and he instinctively activated his sound magic, creating faint vibrations around them. "Do you feel that?" Kamari asked. Malik nodded, his eyes scanning their surroundings. "Something's wrong." Suddenly, the water exploded around them as massive rift serpents emerged, their pale, slimy bodies coiling menacingly. "Ambush!" Kamari shouted, dodging a serpent strike. He unleashed a sonic wave, stunning one of the creatures. Malik wielded his newfound power, creating powerful currents that slammed into the serpents. But their coordination faltered. Kamari's attacks disrupted Malik's currents, and Malik's movements threw off Kamari's rhythm. "Focus, Malik!" Kamari snapped. "I'm trying!" Malik shot back, frustration evident in his voice. The battle raged on, but the rift serpents were relentless. Kamari's powers flickered, and one of the creatures lunged at him. Malik hesitated for a split second, and Kamari narrowly avoided the attack by blasting the serpent with a desperate sonic wave. "Are you even paying attention?" Kamari yelled. "I saved your life back there!" Malik retorted, his eyes blazing. "No, you didn't. I saved myself," Kamari said coldly. The serpents regrouped for another attack, but the pair managed to fend them off long enough to escape. As they swam to safety, the air between them was thick with unspoken words. Once they reached a safe distance, Kamari rounded on Malik. "What the hell was that? You hesitated." "I didn't hesitate," Malik shot back. "I was trying to protect us both." "Protect us? Protect us?" Kamari scoffed, his bioluminescent attire flickering erratically with his anger. "You think this is about protecting us? You froze, Malik. You left me vulnerable." Malik's fists clenched, his own golden glow intensifying. "I didn't leave you vulnerable. You don't understand how hard it is to control this new power. I'm trying to figure it out while keeping us alive." "Figure it out?" Kamari's voice rose. "Do you know how many times I've had to figure it out alone because you weren't there? You think you're the only one carrying a burden? Newsflash, Malik. I've been doing this without you for a long time." Malik's expression darkened. "And whose fault is that? You're the one who pushed me away." The words hit Kamari like a punch to the gut. For a moment his anger faltered, replaced by a flicker of pain. "You think I wanted to push you away? You think I wanted to lose us? Then why did you?" Malik asked, his voice softer but still laced with hurt. Kamari turned away, his hands trembling. The weight of their shared history pressed down on him, threatening to crack the fragile mask of indifference he had built. "Because I couldn't bear to watch you break me any more than you already had." Malik's breath hitched, and for a moment neither of them spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken regrets and lingering wounds. Finally, Malik took a hesitant step closer. "Kamari, I never meant to hurt you. I just... Save it!" Kamari interrupted, his voice sharp, but his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "We don't have time for this. The city is still in danger, and we've got a mission to complete." Malik nodded reluctantly, his jaw tight. "You're right. Let's just focus on the pearl." As they swam away from the site of their battle, the rift serpents' mangled forms drifting in the distance, the air between them remained thick with tension. But beneath the anger and resentment was a flicker of something else, something neither of them was ready to acknowledge. The shard in Malik's chest pulsed faintly, as if sensing the discord between its bearers. For now the binding pearl had granted them power, but it was clear that power alone would not be enough to heal the fractures between them, or to save Ocearis. The waters around Kamari and Malik grew still after their battle with the rift serpents, but the silence between them was louder than any storm. They floated near the edge of a rocky cliff overlooking the sunken city of Ocearis, its bioluminescent spires shimmering in the distance like distant stars. Kamari sat on a jagged rock, his long dark curls clinging to his face, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion. He couldn't look at Malik. Not yet. His mind replayed their argument, every word a painful reminder of what they had lost. Malik hovered a few feet away, golden light still pulsing faintly from the shard embedded in his chest. He watched Kamari in silence, unsure how to bridge the widening gap between them. "I didn't want it to be like this," Malik said at last, his voice soft. Kamari's eyes flickered toward him. "Then why is it?" Malik sighed, swimming closer until he stood just a few feet away. "Because we let it happen. Both of us." Kamari stood, the water swirling gently around his ankles. His dark skin gleamed under the faint glow of his bioluminescent attire. "Maybe you're right, but that doesn't change the fact that we're here now, and everything between us is broken." "It doesn't have to stay broken," Malik said, his voice filled with quiet resolve. "We can fix it. We can fix us." Kamari shook his head, a bitter smile playing at his lips. "It's not that simple, Malik. You left, and I've been fighting to survive without you ever since. And I've been fighting to get back to you," Malik countered, stepping closer. "Every day, every moment. I never stopped." For a long moment they stood in silence, the ocean stretching endlessly around them. Finally Kamari spoke, his voice quieter now. "Do you really think we can find our way back?" Malik reached out, gently taking Kamari's hand. "I don't know, but I want to try." Kamari's gaze softened as he searched Malik's face. The hurt was still there, but so was something else. Something fragile, but real. Hope. The shard in Malik's chest pulsed brighter, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Kamari didn't flinch at its glow. "We have to restore the pearl," Kamari said. "For Ocearis, for everyone." Malik nodded. "And for us." They turned toward the glowing city in the distance, the path ahead uncertain, but shared. As they swam together toward Ocearis, the light from the shard illuminated the water around them, casting shimmering patterns across the ocean floor, a beacon of hope in the depths. But neither noticed the shadow lurking in the distance, watching their every move.
Now we're just strangers again. Ain't even my friend. Not how I want it to end. Can we just pretend